Hey y'all, I am back. This is your girl Tina, Her Life Sparkles, however you know me, and this is part two of my 300K year. I am sorry for the delay. Life has been happening, but before we hop into this video, I want to make sure that you subscribe, turn that notification bell on because um, I don't want you to miss any uploads that are be coming, whether it's about home updates if you saw our new house or influencer stuff, business related, or everything in between. I want to make sure that you are in the know of everything that is happening on my channel. So make sure that you are subscribed. But if you're back for part two of this video, in 2020, I made $300,000 in my first year as a full-time influencer. And I say full-time, meaning that I had no 9 to 5, no other job other than being an entrepreneur. So I wanted to finish this because I owed that to you all, and so much has happened between the first video and now that I wanted to make sure that I put it out. So here we go. I think in the last video I left off with the fact that in December 2019, I left my full-time job for two reasons. One, I had just reached my limit. Two, we were moving to California and it didn't make sense for me to work anymore in California because of childcare, commute, and all of that. So I had decided to jump out the window, spread my influencer wings, and fly as a creator influencer. So 2020 was my first full-time year. January started off coming off of the high of holiday, like holidays or Q4 for influencers and content creators. It's our busy season. It's where we make big bucks. Brands come find all of us easily because they want people to buy products during holidays. So coming off of the high from holiday, my expectations were way higher than they should have been, and I wasn't able to I didn't have really realistic expectations for what January would be like. And January 2020 was slow, really slow, incredibly slow. So slow that I was starting to second guess whether or not I had made a good decision in in leaving my work. I was like, maybe I should have kept my job and tried to work remote, while I did this. But I think in total, I made $2,500 that January, which, is great, but and I can still pay like car notes or some people's mortgages or even rent, but just from making almost 10,000 that December prior, it was like, well, what's happening? So I had to go back and look at my tracker, and that's one of the benefits of tracking your income every month because you'll start to realize patterns in how things will run. So I was able to look back at January 2019 and see, well, okay, it was one of the slower months, and that's because brands are coming off of holiday. They're trying to reset their budgets, make plans for the new year's, and everybody has just went shopping crazy, so they're not trying to like push more content down your or product down your throat aside from like the January is big for like New Year resolutions type campaigns. So, wellness and home cleaning and organization and things like that, but not like toys and gifts and electronics and everything under the sun like it was holiday. So it was slow. I made $2,500 in January. I think in total for Q1, I made, maybe $1,500. Excuse me, $15,000. So for the entire quarter, I think I made $15,000, which, um, was not bad still, but because if you 4x that's a $60,000 year. So it still would have beat my old corporate income, but it was a lot because during holiday brands come to you. They are desperate to find influencers and creators because they want to spread as the biggest word possible about their product, but that doesn't continue into the new year. So I had to get back into the habit of applying for campaigns using influencer networks, pitching myself. And I didn't do any of that in January and February because I kind of got spoiled in the holiday. So I had to sit and have like a come to Jesus moment with myself. Like, what are you doing? Instead of having these pity parties, you gotta ramp things back up. So toward the end of February is when I really started back getting serious about having back on influencer networks, pitching myself because I truly believe that any opportunity that you aren't pitching, you're leaving money on the table because the brand isn't always just going to come find you. There are too many influencers out there for you to be cocky enough to think that a brand is just going to find you. Granted, I do get a lot of outreach, but I still have to pitch myself even at my current level. So things started to pick up in March. March was of Q1. 2020, March was my biggest month. I think I did almost $9,000 that month. So things started to feel like a little bit more normal. Um, at that point in time, I was posting pretty consistently. I was posting anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week, a lot of times toward the lower end. I was still posting on my stories every single day. We were shooting, I would say every other week, because we were still adjusting to being in a new environment. And then, of course, COVID hit. So nobody really knew what to do once COVID hit. So it was kind of like, you know, we're figuring it out and just kind of posting through that. Um, what happened next? I would say April, things slowed a bit because not only did we have to pivot as just people, individuals, and families, but brands had to pivot to understand what their new messaging and their strategy was going to be around just product releases and things like that in general, because spring wasn't going to be a normal spring for us anymore. So, in April, I sat on my hands a bit in April just because of the weight of everything that was going on. And I had campaigns that had been pending for April that started to get canceled. And it was the question of whether or not that, like, the doubts crept in about whether or not the influencer space was going to survive. But we came out on the back end of that knowing that brands turned to influencers more than anything during the pandemic and the corona crisis, just because people were turning to social media, spending more time on their phones, more time at home, more time on their computers, more times on blogs, more times on Pinterest, more times on Instagram. So brands needed us more than ever, but it just took them, a couple of weeks to re-strategize. So at the end of April, outreach started to pick up again. We have found our new normal in being at home, and I decided that I was going to start shooting more. So we started shooting weekly at home, and I was started posting upward to 5 times plus a week. And since then, I have posted, unless like we've been on vacation or somebody has been sick, I have kept that consistency on any given week. For most part, I don't post. I post at minimum 5 times a week on my feed. Um, and even more than that now that reels are a thing, because when I say feed post, I'm typically talking about a single image or a carousel, not necessarily a reel. So, that was one of the things that changed for me in terms of getting brands' attention, because the more you post, the more you give yourself an opportunity to be seen from brands and new followers, new community members. So, I do recommend that if you have been posting on the lower end, what is consistent for me isn't necessarily going to be consistent for you. But the consistency piece that we keep driving home, that you hear other thought leaders in the space say, it's not just to say it. Consistency is and always will be key. Um, so post more, show up in your stories more, whatever you can, however you can. Of course, make sure it's valuable, but you want to post more. So we started shooting weekly. Though we were still self shooting, I started getting more strategic around content planning, and I'm very serious about our outfits being coordinated. That doesn't have to be your thing. It's just what works for me. But I got more strategic about making sure I had our outfits together ahead of time, sourcing inspiration for content, whether it was from a movie, a TV show, from Pinterest or something, so that, and I could go over things with James about the type of content that I wanted to create, because of course the kids are not going to be able to follow my creative direction, but he's another adult that's involved. So whether he was shooting or being in the image, he knew what we were going for. And we would shoot no less than 2 looks every week to make sure that I was not running out of content, or that if we had a slow week or somebody was sick or we didn't feel like it, that we still had photos to choose from. And in batch creating in that capacity, like I have thousands of photos. I have hundreds of photos that have never seen Instagram. Um, or even when we first moved to Virginia, we still don't have a photographer, but things were just really slow for us when we first moved to Virginia. But I posted for like a month with just old photos, because I literally have an arsenal of photos to choose from at any given moment. So that is the importance of batch creating. It keeps you consistent, but it also gives you photos that you'll be able to work with during slow or dry months. So what's that? May, I think, let me see. I think May ended up being my first 5-figure month. Yes, May was my first 5-figure month. It was in the lower 5 figures, but 5 figures is 5 figures. And that is when I realized that the whole posting more frequently was not a game. And I never looked back from that moment. And then, of course, well, I won't say of course, June hit and we had a lot of the social unrest, the amplified melanated voices, and everything surrounding police brutality, the death of George Floyd, and, bless his family, may he rest in peace. And it was, while it was a sad time, it was a frustrating time, it became a time where brands really started to give Black creators their flowers. There's just no other way to say it. There were brands that had never reached out to me before that had started reaching out to me like crazy. There were brands who, I won't name names, but had reached out to me before with like ridiculously low budgets that suddenly wanted to like pay. And it was like, this is interesting. Let's see how long it lasts. Well, it it hasn't turned off. June 2020 was my first 20K month. I made $20,000 in brand partnerships that month. And in 2020, the majority of my income was from brand partnerships because I hadn't released my ebook and I didn't really have the capacity to coach. Um, so yeah, it was my first month making $20,000 in brand partnerships, and I haven't made less than $20,000 a month since. Um, these days I am averaging between $40,000 and $50,000 a month, but on a low end, like I would say $20,000 would be what's considered my low end. And I don't say that like in a bragging kind of way. It's just the way my numbers have been falling. Um, so that is what carried me through. The months just continued to pick up from there. I think July I did 40, August I did maybe 30 or 40, and then the holidays hit, and I think I hit 50K October, November, and December. I'm not looking at my tracker, but something along those lines. So although I had a 300,000 total over the year, the bulk of that came from June through December. Um, so I wanted to focus less about the money this time because I've said it 1,000 times. I'm more about the 5 things that I did differently in 2020 that caused a big shift in my brand, in my monetization, in my growth, in being noticed by brands. The first one I already kind of went over. It was posting 5+ times a week. Even when I coach, I always say 4 to 6 times a week because you'll land in that sweet spot. Like 4 is not the worst case scenario, but you want to post as often as you can to give yourself a chance to be seen by new community members, by brands, and it just helps you create a rhythm of consistency that you will trust yourself to stick to. Like if I'm posting less than 5 times a week, then there's a 90% chance that something's wrong. Somebody's sick, somebody's hurt, like something, or it's a planned vacation. Because that's just my normal. You want to be able to show up in your stories every single day, not just posting memes or text where somebody has to read, but actually showing your face, allowing people to hear your voice, to see your personality, laugh, joke, cry, what have you, whatever you're going through, but you allow people to see the real you when you kind of show up in your stories perfectly imperfect. Um, the second thing was batch shooting weekly. Uh, it can be hard, especially with kids, but it it's like a muscle. The more you shoot, the more normal it starts to feel. So that it's become an expectation for my kids to know that we're going to have to take pictures every week. And honestly, if we go too long without taking pictures, the little two, especially Zoe and Luke, they were asked, like, I want to take pictures. Like, to a point, it becomes fun, especially when they get certain things in the mail, like goodie boxes and stuff from brands. So it becomes fun to them. But they know that at least once a week, I'm going to bug them for a couple of hours and then I'll leave them alone. Like, there is nowhere on this planet that I'm going to have a camera in their face every single day. I don't even have a, like, makeup on, hair done, camera in my face every single day. It's unrealistic. So for us to actually, our staged, well put together photo shoots that you see on my feed, we shoot once a week, and I try to do no less than 2 outfits so that we are never running out of content, whether it's for sponsored content, organic content. And that's just how bat shooting works. You try to maximize uh, every opportunity you can to create some content in this. Like, an example, I'm creating this video long form for YouTube. I might take a section or two of something that I said and turn it into a reel. Or I could also repost the long form on Instagram TV. And while I'm already done up, I may take some pictures in the outfit, which if you've seen my Instagram, I've already worn this dress on my feed with a different hairstyle, but whatever. And I'll take a picture in this look, and I could make some separate reels in this look, just so that I'm not getting done up just to make this video and nothing else. You want to maximize your cute, maximize your time as well. But because it takes effort to make sure that your hair is right, your outfit is right, your makeup is right. So you want to do everything that you can to get the best use out of that look, your time, and everything else. Um, the third thing that we did differently, or I did differently, is that I would have weekly content strategy sessions by myself or with James, where I was just brain dumping ideas about content that I wanted to create, and then outline in points of importance, like whether something was trendy and I needed to hurry up and make it happen, whether it was evergreen and I could kind of take my time on it. Evergreen meaning it's something that's not going to go out of season, like potty training tips. Somebody's always going to be potty training a child. Or just sourcing inspiration, whether it was an inspiration for a charcuterie board, which was like super popping last year, or things you things you can do for your kids during the summer, because summer is here and parents are wanting to enjoy the summer more than ever before. Sorry, I really talk with my hands. Parents are really wanting to enjoy this summer with their kids more than ever before, because we didn't really get a chance to last summer, and everybody's sick of being in the house. Another thing that I did was I really studied and got better at the craft of self shooting, just watching YouTube videos about my camera, about good lighting, about finding the photo hotspots at my home, and really taking time to understand photo composition, and that it's probably better to be moving in a photo versus just standing still and looking stiff, and that it's probably better to laugh than to just sit there and smile, and that it's better to have the product be in use versus just standing there and holding it, like, you know? So it was something that I took the time to study, whether that was reading books, watching videos, or just trial and error, but it was something that I had to pay attention to. And then we also ended up hiring a photographer back in July 2020, and everybody doesn't have the budget for a photographer. So I'm not saying that you need to go blow your savings on a photographer if that's not realistic for you. But we found that although I can self shoot very well, but a photographer helped us increase our output and decrease stress. So the stress of getting everybody ready, getting outfits ready, getting hair ready, getting makeup ready, getting set ready, getting props ready, and then having to try to keep the kid focused and man the camera was a lot. So if I could do all of those other things, but just know that I could have some professional eyes behind the camera to capture the images, who understood the vision that we were going for. Because I was really bad. Oh, Leia, I miss you. Shout out to our photographer from California, Leia Ray. I'll put her at name here. But I'm really bad. I'm wearing an earpiece right now just to make sure that y'all can hear me good, but I would be really bad about going to shoot and still having my AirPod in my ear, and she would catch me every single time. It's just those little things that it made a huge difference for. Outside of her just being an amazing photographer, she was very good with the kids, to the point that they would see her weekly, so they started to call her auntie, and she was good at like keeping them engaged and posed and together. And she just took a huge, huge, huge weight off of our shoulder. And once you start to shoot with somebody frequently enough, you'll get into that flow, that connection, that rhythm, so that if you're able to afford it, I recommend doing it. However, I am an advocate for learning how to self shoot, because it's your photos are the nature of your business, and I wouldn't recommend having the sole production of your prime business product being in somebody else's hands. So if the photographer is booked, if the photographer is sick, has a family emergency or something, and you have a campaign that's due, what you gonna do? you got to be able to whip out your camera and make it happen. So while a photographer will take a huge weight off your shoulders, I am a huge advocate for learning how to self shoot and continuing to get better, because even though we had her, I didn't stop self shooting. I didn't stop learning, which is why when we moved and we no longer had her, I have been able to pick up the ball and keep going. We worked with a photographer once this year, and that was back in early January. I think he might have shot one campaign for us at the time, but everything else that you have seen on my feed is either stuff that I have reused from work that we did with Leia, or I have reshot it. Oh, I shot it myself. Almost every campaign, with the exception of one that you've seen this year, I've shot it myself. So I'll step off that soapbox, but learn how to shoot. Um, Especially if you've invested into a camera, because don't feel like you have to, if you just run out and get a camera, it's going to make your photos better, because there is a learning curve to it. If you can't learn how to shoot on your phone, then you're not going to be committed to learn how to shoot on the camera. iPhones and Droids, if you have one of those, they are very capable these days, and they have, capacity to create very good quality images and videos. Just take the time to learn them. And the last thing I did, I think this is number 5, would be to really scrub and pay attention to my analytics. People won't tell you what they are into, or people won't tell you what they don't like. They just won't engage with it. Well, if they're mean, they might. But the average person won't be like, "Ugh, I don't like this." It's usually trolls. So you have to pay attention to what your core audience is engaging with. And that's not saying that everybody has to like everything, because they won't. But if you've tried some recipes and like cooking has never been a part of your thing, and people are not engaging with your food, then 9 times out of 10, they not liking what it's not giving what it's supposed to give. So maybe, like food, you don't need to have food be a permanent part of your content strategy. Now, if you enjoy cooking, you can see it through, but it's not something that you probably want to post, 3 times a week. Does that make sense? So you can scrub your analytics, look at your Instagram analytics, the back end for quarterly, monthly and quarterly, and then of course for the year. But I look at how things performed last month, and if it's not like a seasonal or on trend kind of post, I try to see how I can retell that story again this month. And then I also go as far back and look at posts from last summer to see what some of my best performing posts were from last summer, and how I can either reuse those images or retell those stories, because just because I posted it last summer, I have grown almost $40,000 followers since then. So that means that people have never seen that content. So yes, my old people will be seeing it twice, but if the photo was good enough, they're not going to care anyway. Or they'll be like, "Oh, I remember that." Or the kids have grown so much since then, or, so much has changed since then. Do you miss being in California? What have you? But you can reuse content. It's okay to reuse, repurpose content. It actually, you're all the better for it. You're smarter for it, because the goal is to work smarter, not harder. So those would probably be the 5 things that I've done differently, or that I did differently, to help me secure 30,000. My numbers are all off. $300,000 in brand deals last year. And then I'll spend the rest of this time just kind of answering some questions that I got. I'll end it with a Q&A. I don't want to talk you guys to death this time, because last time I was just kind of rambling because I'm long-winded like that. So the questions I've got is, one of the questions is, how much time do you dedicate towards engagement per day? I don't have a time clock set for myself, but I do have a 3-hour limit set on my phone for Instagram. So once my 3 hours is up, whether it's for a sponsored post or not, then my 3 hours is up, and I just have to get off of Instagram for the day. And when I had a job, a 9 to 5, I think I would absolutely dedicate 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, and then whatever time I could catch in between. But that would be like dedicated Instagram time. But now that, it is my primary job, then I just have like a 3-hour window that I can use throughout the day, whether it's for working, for engaging, for, enjoying other people's content. Because I do still like to use Instagram like everybody else, and follow my favorite accounts and see what's going on in their lives. And I love comedy, like videos and things like that. So finding the things that make me laugh, um, reading through the pages that have like the really good motivational or inspirational quotes and stuff like that. So, but my limit is 3 hours. Once my 3 hours is up, is up. The only time that I would extend past it is if I have wasted some of my time throughout the day and then I still have to post like a sponsor post later in the evening. I'll extend it for that. But beyond that, once my 3 hours is up, it's up. And somebody asked, is it too late to start? And is starting from zero possible? It's never too late to start. Some people don't hit their prime until they're well into their 50s or 60s. I know somebody that's in her 40s that's going back to nursing school. I'll be 35 this year, and I just feel like some of the leaps and bounds and the levels that I'm going to be obtaining or I plan to achieve in the near future, like I'm just getting started. I haven't even hit my prime yet. So it's never too late to get started. The Instagram or social media in general is ever changing, but you just have to adapt and roll with the punches. And I I absolutely think that you can start from the beginning. It it's gonna be it's intimidating and it's not gonna be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. I did not start from zero. I started with the 2,000 people that I had accumulated over like college years. But I think anything that you decide that you want to do and you set your mind to is possible, then you can do it. So I hope that answers your question Q&A because my camera cut off and I didn't know and I was just sitting here talking. But then I watched the replay and realized how bad the glare was on my glasses. So I just went ahead and took them off. But let's get the rest of these questions out of the way. So the question, I don't even know what number, but the question is, what's the best way to find brand contacts? Um, if you have my pitching guide, shameless plug, I give about 3 to 4 ways to find brand contact information there. However, I'll give you one now, and that would be to simply check the contact us section on the brand's website. So many brands are influencer friendly these days that they have partnership or collaboration emails right there at your fingertips if you just check that contact us section. Some of them even have the contact forms where if they ask you like what your issue or your subject is of your email, you can toggle that down to like partnerships or collaborations. So I would start by checking the contact us section on the brand's website. The next question was, what percentage of my partnerships are me pitching versus a brand coming to me? In 2020, I would say it was about 40% incoming and 40% outgoing of me pitching or applying through influencer networks. And then, everything else was just kind of up in the air, but all of it's God. Now I would say it was it's about 70% incoming and 30% pitching, and still all of it's God. But I'm definitely getting more incoming opportunities these days just because I have established myself as a creator and influencer. Brands are familiar with my work, so it's repeat partnerships or it's repeat work from agencies that I've worked with or PR firms that I've worked with. And with that, I cannot stress enough how important it is to just be somebody that's reliable and easy to work with, because there are a lot of diva influencers out there and you don't want to be that diva because the PR reps, they talk. I've had PR reps go to leave one agency and go to another, but they still reach out to me and they kept me in their list of contacts because they want to work with me with the new brands that they're managing campaigns for. So, and they talk to each other. I get a great deal of campaigns that are like, Melissa said that you were great to work with. So, we would love to try to work with you too for this opportunity. They talk. And if a brand or a PR rep is going to be talking about me, I would rather them have good things to say. So it's important to be good, to be punctual, to be professional in everything that you're doing, large or small. Because one of my favorite PR firms, I probably started working with them when I had just over 10,000 followers, and they literally send me a campaign every single month. I'm not gonna say who, but every single month, I know I can count on them for one campaign. So it's important to have a reputation that speaks for you and make sure that that reputation is good. Okay, so the next question would be, which stream of income made the most? And in 2020, I didn't have multiple streams of income really. It was primarily brand partnerships. It wasn't until the end of the year that I kind of got serious about digital products because I released my ebook and then I had started getting more intentional about affiliate marketing. So last year it was 85% of my income came from brand partnerships. This year, I have diversified that quite a bit more. So I'll do a follow-up video just kind of breaking down my income streams. I think I have 6 or 7 at this point, and I want to kind of debunk the myth that multiple streams of income doesn't mean that you have to have multiple businesses. Like you could have multiple streams that tie into one business. So I have all of my streams tie into me being an influencer or content creator. So I'll do a separate video about that. But um, the biggest stream of income for me in 2020 was, of course, brand partnerships. And then so far this year, the stream of income that has given me the most money with the minimal effort would be my digital products, because yes, they did take good work in the beginning, and I had to actually write the books and get them put together and put them out. But once they're done, and they sell, as long as they're promoted or whatever, correctly. So I can make money I make money in my sleep through them. So the biggest money maker is brand partnerships, but the biggest money maker with minimal effort would be my digital products. The question is, when you're inundated with requests to buy hashtags and verification checks and different things to be a brand ambassador, how do you know what's real? And the best answer is that if somebody wants you to be a brand ambassador, you should not have to pay for anything. Of course, don't buy followers, don't buy hashtags, don't try to buy blue check verifications from whoever is trying to get you to sell that. Like, they're not for sale. Instagram is either gonna give it to you if you qualify, or you won't have it. But when working with the brands, to be a brand ambassador, you should not have to pay for anything. What it costs a brand to make a product like a pair of leggings or a pair of shoes is not nearly what it costs a consumer to buy them. So at the very least, they should be able to give you the product for free. So if a brand is DMing you saying, hey, if you buy our leggings, we'll give you 40% off your purchase and then 20% coupon to share with your audience. That is not you being a brand ambassador. That is you being a discounted customer. But some brands tend to take advantage of people wanting to break into the influencer space and really not knowing the ins and outs of what that entails. So my rule of thumb is, one, if they're not willing to give you the product, shipping included for free, it's a no. And two, a good way to kind of ward off, what am I trying to say? Offers that are not legit is that if they're DMing you, ask them to move the conversation to email. If they're not willing to move that conversation to email, then you already know that they're wasting your time. Next question is, what's a good way to get organic followers? And I'm going to sound like a parrot here, but it is to create valuable content consistently. I'll say that until I'm blue in the face, because that's it. That's the answer. That's the short answer anyway. The long answer is that when you're creating content, you want to do one of 3 things. You want to evoke some type of emotion, laugh, cry, or even, getting upset. You want to make them stop, think, and evaluate, something that they could be doing differently in their lives, or just think about a situation that they've recently been through. Or you want to make them be inspired or motivated to do something differently, whether that's start a workout challenge, or try to aspire to become an influencer, or create another stream of income. So if you can do all 3 of those things in one post, then it's like the holy grail of content, and it's probably going to go viral. If you could just do one of those things, though, it's great, and somebody's going to latch onto it, somebody's going to laugh or be motivated in some kind of way, and they're going to share it. And getting people to share your content beyond just their eyes, or whether it's in their group chat, they're sharing it in their Instagram stories or whatever, is how you're introduced to new people. And then those people in turn become drawn to you, and then they end up sharing, and so on. So focus on your helpfulness, your value, and what you're putting into your content, and the audience will come. But if you're just focused on the numbers, then, your focus is in the wrong place. So focus on the value, and valuable content can't help but spread, because it's fire. Fire spreads. So focus on value. Next, I say a lot. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. The next question is, I don't have my glasses on, so I'm struggling. Do you need a blog? Do you think a blog is important outside of having social media or Instagram? And my answer is absolutely. It not only is it it can be a separate revenue stream, or it is a separate revenue stream. You don't own Instagram, you don't own YouTube, you don't own TikTok. So if any given day Mark Zuckerberg decides to pull a plug on Facebook, Instagram, what are you going to do? How are you going to reach your people? How would you be able to stay in touch with your community, sell your products if you have any, or whatever? You need something that's yours that somebody cannot take from you. That that's the value of having your blog, your own platform, your email list. Is Instagram great? Can you make money from it? Absolutely, but you should not put all of your eggs in the Instagram basket. And this is not saying that if you're in the beginning stages, you have to start an Instagram, a blog, a YouTube, and all of that immediately, because you got to crawl before you walk and you got to walk before you run. So if you want to focus on Instagram in the beginning, cool. But in your 1 to 2 year plan, it should be spreading out to other platforms, starting your blog and your own website or your own podcast, something that is yours that nobody can take from you, that you have a way to be able to communicate with your audience beyond social media. So I absolutely think having a blog is important. And you don't have to shell out a lot of money to create one either. My first blog was on Wix. If you're gonna, and I built that myself. Both Wix and Squarespace has templates for like if you need to do it yourself. If you have to choose between the two, I would choose Squarespace because it's more SEO friendly, and that stands for search engine optimization. And that's another conversation for another day, but it's very important when it comes to like blogging. But I would choose Squarespace over Wix in hindsight. But I do have a blog post, and I'll link it in the description box, about why I moved my blog from Wix to WordPress, and that's where I am now. If you're not doing it yourself and you can afford to pay somebody to put your blog together, then go ahead and go with WordPress, because it's the holy grail for SEO in terms of bloggers and websites. But if you're doing it yourself and WordPress is a lot and you have to understand coding and all of that, then I will go with Squarespace. And the last question, I think, is how do you know what to charge? So another shameless plug. If you are able to book a one-on-one call or even join my membership, my group mentorship, the monthly masterclass, this is something that we would probably be able to dig a little deeper into. But just to give like a surface level reference, for a static feed post, meaning one Instagram post, one single Instagram image on your feed, not a carousel, not a video, not anything else, you can start with anywhere from 4 to 8% of your following size for that standard rate. So if you have 10,000 followers and you went with the 8%, that would mean that you would charge $800 for a single image on your feed. Other things could increase that rate, like whitelisting, usage, exclusivity, and all of that, which is why it's like once you start talking about pricing, you kind of open Pandora's box. There is no one size fit all answer, but the 4 to 6% is what I consider a baseline rate, meaning you don't pull your camera out for anything less than $800. You're likely going to get more, but that's your bare bones minimum in terms of using a percentage to following size scale, because your total value isn't rooted in your following size. It's a part of it, but it's not all of it. So that's why I say that's your bare bones minimum, not like your absolute rate. And if you start at 800 and then somebody offers you 400, you'll take it. No, you don't go below that 800. So I hope that answers your question, but I think that's it. I think we got them all. I had to do this like 3 times because I was not prepared. Don't be a me. I did not pay attention to my cutoff time, and then I did not charge my camera. So yeah, I had to do this like 3 times, but we got it done. But so I'm gonna wrap up there for this video. I'm gonna soon do a follow-up about my different streams of income, because I think it'll be interesting to just kind of break that down for all of you, so that while I am averaging $40,000 to $50,000 months, it's not all coming from brand partnerships. Some months, anyway, I'll break it down in the next video. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. I hope that it gave you some insight into some things that you could do differently to take yourself to the next level. I hope that it has encouraged you and inspired you to keep going, because there is, a reward for doing hard work. And I don't want to set the precedence that everybody who starts on their influencer journey is going to make $300,000 in a year, because that's just not true. There's levels to everything. But if you made an extra $3,000 in a year, what could that mean for you and your family? If you made an extra $30,000 in a year, what could that mean for you and your family? I've had students who have already made $100,000 this year. I've had a student recently that has less than 20,000 followers, and she has already made $7,700 this month. That could be life changing for a lot of people. Like, even in my beginning stages, that like $7,700 a month right now would still be great for me. That would still be absolutely great for me. It would more than handle, bills and things like that for our family. So no, not everybody's gonna make $300,000, but if you made 100,000, if you made 50,000, if you made 30,000, could that be life changing for you? Is it something that you're interested in? Then you should absolutely pursue it. So I hope you found this helpful and motivational. Definitely not intended to be braggy at all. It's just to let you know everything that I share about my business and my income and my journey is just to let you all know that it is absolutely possible, and to try to be a resource, because I'm trying to be the person that I wish I had in the beginning, because I stumbled and fumbled a lot during my first year. So if I can help you avoid any of those mistakes, then I am all for it. So thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, I hope that you will share it. If you have questions remaining or some topics that you would like me to cover, business related or not, because I talk about business and everything that we have going on with our home on this page. So if you have some more business topics that you would like me to cover, like camera equipment, I think I'm going to do a video on that coming up soon. But whatever, let me know in the comments. And then, we have reached 5,000, well, it's 6,000 now, but I have finally reached 5,000 followers on YouTube, which was like, it was a goal last year. And I just hit it this year because I wasn't consistent. See, I even have to get on myself about the consistency piece, but I'm really excited about that. And with that, I want to do like a little giveaway. It's not anything crazy, but just to thank you for your support and your encouragement and your everything along the way. So I am going to pick 5 winners. Five $50 winners. And to enter, you have to leave a comment on this video letting me know what you found most helpful. And you also need to be following me over on Instagram. And then for a bonus entry, you can subscribe. Of course, you have to be subscribed to the channel. So you have to be subscribed here. Leave a comment letting me know what you found most helpful for the video. Follow me on Instagram at Her Life Sparkles. And then for a bonus entry, you can subscribe to my blog. But I will announce a winner within 7 days. I'm not looking at the calendar, so I can't tell you the date, but I'll make sure that it's updated thoroughly in the description. But I cannot thank you enough for all your support and your encouragement. It truly means the world to me, and I want this to be my little way of giving back and saying thank you to you guys in a tangible way. So that's it for this video. I will be back soon with more both house updates, because we have some furniture coming. Finally, we've painted the kids' rooms and they look amazing. And then some more business tips. So thank you so much for watching. It's your girl, Her Life Sparkles. Peace.